Hello reefers, welcome back to Greg's Aquariums. I wanted to give you an update on my 125 gallon reef tank. There's a few things that have happened since the last video. The biggest change that happened to this reef tank is that I decided to go bare bottom. I had a problem with the sand starting to clump and get really hard, and the Nasser snails and stuff like that were having a hard time burrowing into it. And I decided to go ahead and take out all the sand and gravel. And I've had a bare bottom tank before, and I kind of liked it back then. And I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with the bare bottom for now. Another thing that I like about the bare bottom, and one of the reasons why I decided to do it, is you can have a nice flow in your tank without worrying about the sand getting kicked up and irritating your corals and stuff like that. So in order to go bare bottom, what I did is I have a 75 gallon Rubbermaid pond, one of those kind you get from a feed store. I use that in about 8 5-gallon buckets and a couple other small containers. And I drained out almost all of the water into those containers and into that 75 gallon pond. And then I took out the live rock and corals, put most of that in the 75 gallon pond, and then I put a circulation pump in there. The house was 78 degrees, so I wasn't worried about the temperature because I keep my tank at about 79 degrees anyways. And then the rest of the fish and shrimps and brittle stars and stuff like that I put into the buckets. So I ended up putting about 75% of the water back into the tank, the original water, and then about 25%, of course, of the newly made salt water. And I have to say that the tank did really well. It only took like a day or something for the corals and everything to get back to their normal look. And it's been over a month now, and they are doing really well, like I said, and I'm happy with the results. Did not have any casualties at all. The hermit crabs and brittle stars and serpent stars and shrimps and everything seem to be doing well on the bare bottom. They don't seem to have a problem with it at all. So one of the other things that I did is I took out the green plating Montipora. Between that Montipora and the orange plating Montipora, they were just getting too big and they were overshadowing a lot of the other corals. I also scaled back the orange plating Montipora. I took about 3/4 of it off, and it's already starting to get big again. And I fragged the neon green Nephthya. I've got 6 different colonies in my tank right now, and I sold the colony to the local fish store, or well, I traded it in for credit, and fragged a couple other corals. Another big change that I've done is I went to the 2-part dosing. I'm now dosing the Seachem Reef Fusion. I do that daily. I decided to do that because I started testing my water rigorously every day for 3 weeks and found out that the alkalinity and some of the other levels were getting a little bit low. So I decided to go ahead and do the 2-part. And after I started the 2-part, I tested rigorously for another 2 weeks to make sure that it was doing okay, and I was really happy with the results. The alkalinity levels, calcium levels, etc. are where I like them. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to do 2-part. I am going to get a doser because I don't like to have to do it every single day, and also I'd like to spread it out to at least 4 times a day, maybe more, using the doser instead of just all at once like I'm doing now. The other big change is with my fish. On the right hand side of the tank you can see a male and female flame or Jordan's fairy wrasse. Those happen to be one of my favorite fish. Really like them. I've been wanting them for a long time, and I ended up ordering a total of 5 of them online. It's the first time I've ever ordered fish online before, I have to say I was a little bit disappointed with the results of what happened. And on my first order, I ordered 3, and they gave me a sub-adult male and 2 females, and the male died. The next day it was dead. And the 2 females, the only one that survived is the one that's in the tank right now. I then ordered another female and this other male that I have in the tank right now. And long story short, the only 2 that survived are the terminal or super male that I have, and that 1 female from that other batch. I have to say that I do like the fish that survived are doing great. That terminal male you see there in the center of the tank, he's just stunning, just a really beautiful fish. I was really happy with him. He came in really healthy. He went through the quarantine process with no diseases, no problems whatsoever. And the female that survives doing really well too. She's a lot bigger than she used to be, and she eats a lot, and I have high hopes that she's going to turn into a full-size female, and that they'll start doing spawning behavior and stuff, so I'll get to see that in the tank. One of the things that happened, however, was that when I was introducing the female fairy wrasses, my square spot Anthias that I had, and my Lubbock's or tricolor fairy wrasse that I had, and my yellowtail blue damsels, excuse me, they all tried to kill the fairy wrasses, and they probably would have succeeded, except for I ended up taking the fairy wrasses out of the tank and putting them back into quarantine. And then I ended up, and one of the other reasons why I went bare bottom, I should have mentioned it earlier, was the fact that I wanted to get those fish out of the tank. So when I went bare bottom, I took all those fish that I mentioned out of the tank and rehomed them and or put them in different tanks so that my fairy wrasse can live unmolested inside my tank. One of the things that I've noticed now that I don't have the square spot Anthias in the tank and the yellowtail blue damsels is my Royal Grandma comes out a lot more than it used to. So I think that they were really picking on that fish as well. I don't know where my Royal Grandma is right now. I don't see it, but it does like to come out more than it used to. So those are about it for the changes. And I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you're continuing with being successful in the hobby. And thank you for watching.